Traders, welcome back to another price action trading lesson. So today's market started off with a downtrend with a break and a new extreme here. Prices then eventually transformed into this trading range. Uptrend played off a break and a new high, and we pushed back below the EMA. This is when it was apparent that this trading range was being developed. So I went ahead and drew my support here and my resistance here. And I was thinking about some failed second entry long below the EMA, but you can see we have a first entry long pullback, second entry long failure here. So it triggered below this bullish bar here. But I really wanted to see it form a lot cleaner. But prices pushed lower. And then I was thinking about some second entry short at the EMA because we're inside this trading range. We're most likely wanting to test this resistance level. And you can see the first leg up here, break. This is the second leg, the attempt to create the new high. And it could potentially be getting stuck by this channel here. So I went ahead and drew this channel, and I was thinking about some second entry short here if it formed nicely. But you can see it formed quite sketchy on my chart, but it didn't end up pushing lower with the second entry short. So now this downtrend's in play, and we have a break of the downtrend and a new extreme. So now this downtrend played out. Trading range was our structure. So I'm expecting prices to push back into this trading range since this was the structure to start with. And sure enough, prices pushed back here. So I was thinking about some second entry long here, but you can see we have a first entry long pullback, second entry long here below the EMA, which is not good. And since we pushed below the EMA, it got a little bit unclear because prices were supposed to pull back into this trading range. So then I was kind of playing the waiting game. I just wanted to see more price action to see if there was another trading range going to be established, or what was the next going to be, or what was the next market cycle. And you see downtrend played out with a break and a new extreme here. And now we have a first entry short pullback, second entry short failure, which is off of this potential support here. But problem is that it's below the EMA mainly. And then we get a little bit sideways, which is quite choppy, not much. I really want to see something at the support or the resistance. But this was an interesting area here because this uptrend here played out with a break in a new high. And visually you can see two legs up. First leg, here's the broad correction, and the second leg here. Uptrend played out with a break in a new high. So I was thinking about some lower high or some failed second entry long below the EMA. Because at this point this trading range was established. You can see those two broad legs. So it's clear that prices are most likely going to want to pull back into this trading range here, given that these two broad legs, the bullish bias is most likely depleted. But we get a lower high here, but it's below the EMA and it's a doji. I mean, it's above the EMA and it's a doji on my chart. I wanted to see something below the EMA, and we just push right lower. And now we have some sort of overshoot here. So we can expect a stronger correction if we get a second entry short and need to skip. We get a first entry short pullback, second entry short here, but it's already back at this resistance level, and we have the two-legged pullback breaking a new high. So if we get some failed second entry long below the EMA, it could be decent because we're coming off of this resistance. We most likely want to test this support level. But you can see we're back above the EMA again. So then it gets unclear again because you really want to see the EMA rejecting prices here. But then we end up pushing lower and creating the new extreme here for this downtrend. So now it's getting quite sideways. I was thinking about some mini second entry long here because you have this uptrend in play. Uptrend needs a new high according to trendline rules. I was thinking about some mini second entry long here. But you can see we pushed back below the EMA. So I'm just being patient here and waiting for something clear to form. Trading range is definitely our structure right now. We're in the market cycle of a trading range. So I really need to keep that in the back of my mind when I'm looking for a setup, that our main structure is trading range at the moment. So now we have this uptrend in play again. So I'm thinking about some second entry long at the EMA. And you can see we get a tiny break and a new high of the uptrend. So now that we're back below the EMA, once again, I'm thinking about some lower high similar to this area here, because trading range is, once again, sorry, I keep repeating myself, but I just want to emphasize that we always want to keep in the back of our mind is what the main structure is, because if the structure was different, then a lower high may not be enough. We may need to see the failed second entry long reversal But since this trading range is our main structure, we can expect pivots at the new extremes and at these support and resistance levels. So a lower high in this case would be decent if we get it below the EMA. But I really need to see something clean here. And you can see the lower high formed above the EMA. So maybe we can get some mini second entry short, which would also be a failed second entry long here. But you can see we just pushed right through. So I went ahead and drew this wider downtrend, and I'm thinking about some second entry long, second entry short at the EMA. We had a first entry short pullback, second entry short here, but I had a bad bar on my chart. And we pushed lower here. So once again, I'm still thinking about some second entry short at the EMA because downtrend needs a new low according to trendline rule. And you get a first entry short pullback, second entry short, but it mainly formed above the EMA. Uptrend played out with a break and a new extreme. So I'm thinking about some lower high here. You can see we never get a lower high and we just put straight lower and get a new low for the downtrend. So now I'm patient. This is quite a steep move, but trading range was our structure. So I'm not really liking drawing some wider channel at the moment, even though this move down was so steep, because I really expect prices to pull back into this trading range, especially since we're so far from the EMA. I really expect to pull back to at least test this support level. And you can see we attempt to pull back and then we drop lower again. So at this point, I went ahead and drew this wider downtrend here. And you can see at this point, we're transforming from this trading range here as our main structure to now our next market cycle is downtrend. So I was playing something like this with a tiny break and a new high here. So now I have a first entry short pullback, second entry short, but it formed above the EMA. So I was thinking about some lower high here to confirm this second entry short because downtrend technically needs a new low according to trendline rule. But then we push lower, and by the time we get a lower high, we push so far for the lower high that I really like to see a failed second entry short. A second entry short at this point, which would also be a failed second entry long according to trendline, according to price action rules. If I reset the count here, so I get the failed second entry long, which actually formed below this bullish bar here. If you count from the highest high, you have a first entry long pullback, second entry long failure because it triggered here. But then you can see, lo and behold, we actually get a double trap because if you count from the lowest low, you have a first entry short pullback, second entry short, which triggered below this bullish bar. And the first entry short and the second entry short traders all got stopped at this point here, at this price level. Then it offered a double trap, which is a great high probability setup because it's a confirmation setup. And once again, uptrend played with a tiny break in a new high, and this downtrend needs a new low. So I actually took this setup when watching live, and it pushed down and created an easy scalp. And if you're going for a larger target profit, you just had to hold through this here, and eventually prices pushed lower and created the new extreme. So now that this downtrend played out the break in a new low, I really like to see some established trend, and then maybe take some second entry long if we continue working higher. And sure enough, we push higher like this. So I'm starting to think about some second entry long at the EMA. This is a nice leg up. So according to trendline rule, this uptrend, if we get a break, should get a new high. And you can see we're already coming up on market close. So I really like to not take trades around this time. I really like to be patient. But I'll go through this for educational purposes. You have a first entry long pullback, second entry long here, but so far from the EMA, you can't take the second entry long. And it's somewhat of a small congestion here. So this is actually a decent setup. It's a technical double trap because you have a first entry long pullback, second entry long pullback to the EMA, and then double trap here because the first entry long got stopped out and the second entry long got stopped out here. So this double trap is a decent setup to take advantage of. The thing that kept me out of this setup was this downtrend in play here But if you took this setup, I could see why. It had two things going for it. It was actually a double trap and also a failed breakout out of this small congestion here. So if you took this setup, I could see why. The only reason I didn't take it was because, of course, the market was so late in the day, but also this downtrend was in play. So I was thinking about some higher low here, if it wasn't so late. And you can see we get a break and a new extreme of this downtrend. So this is great for the bulls because you can see this nice two-legged pullback here. So if we get a push above the EMA and a higher low, it'd be a great setup to take advantage of because you know the bearish bias has depleted at this point, and we expect a new high for this uptrend according to trendline rule. And sure enough, we get the push above the EMA. So can we get some higher low here? And we don't get the higher low, but we push straight higher and create the new high for the uptrend. So yeah, guys, this was a great trading day, very predictable price action. We'll go through it here in summary. We have a downtrend with a break in a new extreme that led into this trading range here. Uptrend with a break in a new high. And there was a downtrend inside this trading range that had a break and a new low. We eventually led into another trading range here, which we stayed in for the majority of the day. We had this nice visual two-legged pullback here. And then we had a push lower. You expect that the bears to take over at this point since you get these two broad visual two legs. We get a downtrend here with an overshoot at a stronger correction, break, new extreme of the downtrend. This is a very healthy trading range at this point. The support's holding nicely, resistance holding nicely, break new high of the uptrend. When we're so healthy in a trading range like this, you can definitely expect pivots at the support and the resistance levels. And sure enough, you get a push lower here. So unfortunately, we didn't really get many setups in this area to capitalize on this trading range. That's okay. It's still nice to follow the market and see how the market plays out. So you get a break and a new extreme of this downtrend. Quite a steep move, but since this was such a healthy trading range, we definitely expect a pullback. And the next market cycle right here was very visual after we transformed from this trading range here into this downtrend here. So get a tiny break and new high of the downtrend. We expect a new low according to trendline rule, and this is the setup of the day here. This double trap here, expecting a new low of this downtrend. And sure enough, prices pushed lower, created the new low, and at the end of the day, we reversed into this bullish uptrend. You get these nice two legs here. Nice visual two-legged pullback. Expect a higher low here. A higher low here would have been a perfect setup if it wasn't so late in the day. But unfortunately, we didn't get it, and we just pushed straight higher to the new high. So yeah, guys, today was a great day. Not many setups were presented today, but it's okay. It was very predictable price action. A great great day to follow price action and just see how price action plays out. But yeah, guys, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If this was beneficial for you, feel free to hit that like button below. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. I have a trading community where I post charts daily in real time. If that's of any interest to you guys, feel free to hit that link in the description below. But other than that, guys, I hope you guys have a good trading day, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.